my goal is to become more successful, to have my business become more successful. Why should I be interested in transformational coaching? How is that going to help me make my business more successful?
Hey, what's up, everybody? And welcome to this episode of the podcast where I interview Colin Dingelstad, who's a transformational coach who lives in the Netherlands. And he's going to tell you how you need to become the person that you need to be to accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish. Now, that sounds kind of strange, but when you listen to him, it makes perfect sense, and he walks you through the steps.
This episode is brought to you by ProFit Marketing Solutions. Tim Lyons has literally written the book on how to grow your fitness business. He's also built a great company called ProFit Marketing Solutions, and their GPS product is guaranteed to bring you more clients into your gym, not for one campaign, 2 campaigns, 1 month, but for an entire year. And to get a discount you can't get anywhere else, go to trainergym.net, click on this episode, and the link will be right there, and start saving money on a great product and bringing more money into your gym. It's also brought to you by Offering Tree. Are you missing leads and future customers because your website sucks? Well, let Offering Tree update your website, make it bang so that you can get more clients in through your websites. They integrate scheduling, payment, make it mobile ready, everything. They make it frictionless for people who want to come to your gym to come in and try it out. So they don't have to jump through multiple hoops. They got to jump through one hoop, then they're in the door, sitting in front of you, waiting for you to tell them why they need to join your gym. That's what Offering Tree does for as little as $11 a month. That's right, $11 a month. Everything included. These guys are programmers. So they write all of this right into the software that runs your website. So there's no clunky interfaces or anything like that. It's just smooth cash into your bank account. Offeringtree.com. Again, to get a discount you can't get anywhere else, go to trainergym.net. Click on this episode and the link will be in the show notes. It's also brought to you by Cryo Releaser. Now, I've been using this thing for a while and it's very cold. I don't know if you can see the frost on it, but it's been out of the freezer for several hours, and this thing will last for up to 8 hours outside of the freezer. And then you can use it to target trigger points and soft tissue work. And not only does it get to those hard to reach spots that you can't get to with the foam roller and some of the other devices out there, but it adds that anti-inflammation aspect because of the cold therapy that is included with it. So if you're frustrated with not getting the trigger points you want and having to mix ice and heat and all of that stuff, try Cryo Releaser. And again, to get a discount you can't get anywhere else, go to trainergym.net, click on this episode, and the link will be in the show notes. Now, on to the show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Masters in Fitness Business podcast. This is our Be Live broadcast, live on the Facebook page. For you guys that are joining in, and for you guys that are listening on audio, never mind, because your audio will be just fine. Today on the show, I have Colin Dingelstad. Did I get that right, Colin?
Yeah, pretty much.
How do you say it?
Colin Dingelstad, but it's Dutch, so you don't really have to think about it.
Okay.
Just pronounce it however you want.
Okay, Colin Dingelstad, and he is a transformational coach. And when I reached out to Colin reached out to me, and then we had a phone call. And the thing that really intrigued me, what he said was, I asked him, I said, how do you help people get to their goals? And he said to me, people usually come to me and they've had the same goals for a long time and they haven't been able to achieve it. And so what I do is I help them become the type of person that can achieve those goals. Instead of focusing on the goals, focusing on the person and changing the person, the habits, the thought patterns, all of those things so that you can become the type of person that achieves those goals. It's just a byproduct of who you are. And that was really intriguing to me. So Colin, welcome to the show.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. I'm excited to have you on. Colin is in the Netherlands, and it is 5 p.m. Monday there. So his work day is over. His Monday is over. This is the last thing he has on his agenda. Colin, why don't you share with our listeners how you came across the podcast and how we met? And I think you're better able to tell that story.
Yeah, obviously. So it was pretty simple. So I saw your show on the recommended sections on iTunes, and I really liked what you had to say, your approach, uh, your website, like how everything was structured, the way you work with people. Uh, I really liked it, so I just reached out to you and just gave you a compliment. And I think from that point on, it came a conversation. And eventually, I was like, "Hey, maybe you're interested, or your listeners are interested in having me on their show." Because a big thing of being more healthy, being more fit, is all about how to become that person who's actually healthy. Yeah, the person who is. I'm not even sure where I'm going with it. But yeah, all about creating change in it to become that person that you really want to be, whether it's being healthy, fit, whatever you have in mind.
Yeah, I really like that philosophy. It's kind of flipping it on its head, and that's why I was excited to have you on the show. You kind of you will be able to. I was hoping you'd be able to bring that kind of European perspective, which is different than the American perspective. And I don't know that it's better or worse, but it's definitely different. And I think anytime you get an opportunity to look at something from a different perspective, you're going to come up with different answers and different ways to solve the same problem. So that's why I was really interested in having you on the show. So tell our listeners how you got started in this industry, in this business, the business of transformational coaching.
Totally. By the way, can you still see my face? Because the sun is really shining.
Yeah. I see you just kind of went twilight, but I can still see you.
Yes, how I got started is I was the kind of person who was, when I was 14 years old, I was already reading personal development books, psychology, philosophy, like all those books. I got my mom off a medication, got her close to ideal body weight, like helped a couple more people, but never really did anything with it. Everything was implemented on myself, but never really shared it with anybody else. So in the Netherlands, you actually have an education where you can become an outdoor coordinator. So everything with climbing, rafting, kayaking, like all those extreme sports. And you can become an instructor and then one that's in charge of every instructor. So I was like, I want to do that just for leadership skills. And I also didn't know what else I had to do because I didn't really like a normal education. I think most education are pointless or within the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah, you are outdated. So I was like, let's do this education, also with a lot of sports because I'm really into sports. So long story short, I eventually finished everything. I got a job in Italy. I pretty much got my own location. I was in charge of 30 to 70 people every week. But the organization was pretty bad. So it turned out that I had to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, the entire duration. So that was pretty heavy. Like all the people below me quit, and we kept getting in new people. But at the same time, I really enjoyed it. I was thriving. I was learning so much. I was improving so much as a leader, as a trainer. My expertise in the out of field crew, but I also met a couple of great people, business leaders, influencers, and they were like, if you can just keep this intensity when you're at home and work this hard towards a business, then you can definitely make that work. And they were also like, and then you can do your entire outdoor thing, like climbing, rafting, like doing all those things with your own friends, or doing it with a friend that actually is at a high level, so you can do even more extreme things. And also long term, it will make you a lot more money. So I was like, yeah, definitely going to try that once I'm back in the Netherlands. So after failing a couple businesses, not too big, but just small businesses, I eventually was like, let's just see if I can become a coach and see if I can start small. And I got lucky or unlucky, however you want to call it, But my first potential client was a woman who was pretty messed up. She had a really awful childhood, got into some serious abusive relationships, and everybody pretty much had given up on a family, a therapist, a friends. And I was like, if everybody has given up on it, let me at least see if I can help her. Like, just give it my best shot, even though I'll probably fail. But that didn't happen. Like, she got better every week, and eventually she decided to do, because she now had a lot more confidence, do a 10-day meditation retreat. And 2-3 weeks later, while working with me, she was like, I'm just going to do it. She always wanted to travel the world, and she had gained this new confidence. She had become this new person, even though she was still developing. And she just pulled the trigger. And I think she's still now out there somewhere traveling the world and actually thriving instead of coping. And that just got me started. I was like, okay, that's what I have to do. See if I can become an even better coach and see how many people I can inspire with my own philosophy of creating your own perfect self. So that's not the person you, other people want you to be, or society wants you to be, or your teachers want you to be, but the person you are truly proud of if you look in the mirror. And that's what I started to do. And now, pretty much a bit more than a year in, that's still what I'm doing. I'm really loving helping people creating their perfect self, like helping people change.
Yeah, that's a great story. It really is. And it definitely resonates with me. I'm a big self-awareness, kind of mindfulness. It's a big focus in my life. So when you talk about, there's so much to unpack there. When you talk about the philosophy of not focusing on the goal, but becoming the person who is capable of achieving that goal, how did you come up with that? How did you come across that philosophy?
That's a good one. I think it's the first time someone asked me that. I think it's just a combination of reading a lot of books, like doing a lot of courses, like meeting with some of the top coaches in the world who work with celebrities and learning what they are doing and just combining it into my own philosophy. And eventually came down to, like, don't just set a goal because you will probably fail, but actually create a person that's capable of achieving the goal, then create processes that will get you towards your goal. And then achieving your goal will become automatic.
Become a byproduct of the person that you're becoming.
Yeah, it's the same if you want to, what's a good example? If you want to lose weight and you just set a goal, I want to lose weight, versus a person who doesn't set a goal, but gets out of society and just starts living in the woods. And one of the processes that you then have is you have less food. You are outdoors, so it's probably colder, so your body has to burn a lot more calories. You're active. All those processes will eventually lead to you losing the weight, if you wanted to lose the weight or not. So it's most of the time just about getting the process right that will get you to your goal automatically, and not just simply setting a goal and then keep doing the same thing and don't really changing, don't creating a process that will get you to the goal. Most importantly, not becoming the person that's able to achieve the goal, because otherwise you will still fall back. And yeah, that's a bit of how what I'm doing.
Okay. And that makes a lot of sense because I see it's very common in my industry, the fitness business industry. A lot of fitness business owners are in horrible shape. And it's because they spend so much time on their business and their employees and everything else that they always put their health and wellness and mental clarity on the back burner because they're driving so hard in the business. And I also see it with moms, who are so busy with their kids and their kids' schedule and the household schedule, that they don't make time for themselves, what I call put their mask on first. So when the plane is going down, they always tell you, put your mask on first before you put your kids or anybody else's mask on. And I see a lot of people don't do that. And I've been guilty of that as well. About a year into opening my business, I was in the worst shape of my life, and I was a lifelong fitness person, health and fitness person. So I had to, and it's a common theme. So when you say, don't focus on the goal, because everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to have money for different reasons, but they want to be successful. They want to touch people's lives. They want to be healthy and fit. But there are tons of roadblocks to that. And the biggest one that I see a lot of people neglect is taking care of themselves and starting from home base. Do you find that to be true?
Totally. And a lot of people want to do 10 things at the same time. It just doesn't work. Like, just focus on one thing and get really good at that one thing. And then once that thing has become a habit, move on to the next one. If you do 10 things at the same time, you will just get stressed, you will get burned out. Just won't work.
Yeah. So when you say become the person, so like everybody will come to you with a goal, and then you start to work with the transformation of helping them become that person that can achieve that goal. Take us through some of those steps that you would go through. Like, take us through the steps you took with that woman who you had the transformation with.
Yeah, totally. So it wasn't perfect because I was just starting out.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back, my process right now is pretty similar, but then more fluent. It's just better. But basically what I did is we first looked at the past, like everything that shaped her, like her patterns, her habits, like everything that created the person that she is today. And we also saw that she had a lot of trauma, like a lot of, she had been bullied, she'd been abused, a lot of horrible things. Most people try to get rid of trauma by just telling it's all right, or it's fine. That's in the past. So the energy behind that trauma doesn't really change. It's all about if you want to know if you are over something that has happened in your past, just go back to that moment and really think about it and relive that moment and see if it invokes any new or any hatred or any feelings that you got. So if you look back at your past, it should probably be a more neutral feeling. But if it's not, and that anger is still there, and you're still clinging onto it, and you haven't forgiven those other people, then it's just still stuck with you. You don't even have to forgive the other people for them, but just forgive them for yourself. So that way you can move on, and you're not stuck. Because a lot of things that happen is people get stuck in what other people think of them. They always think, what will that person think of me? That person did this to me. Always this victim mode. But once you deal with your past and you release all the energy that's behind anything that has happened to you, and when you think back of those experiences and they're more or less neutral, so they're not affecting you anymore. They're not keeping you up at night. They're not getting you any. They're not. They're not having any mental bandwidth, consuming any mental bandwidth with your own being. Once you get rid of those experiences, then a whole new playing field opens up. So once we've dealt with the past, we've overcome it, we've realized, oh, this is why we became the person that we are today, then we're actually going to look at how to create an amazing future, a future that you're truly proud of when you wake up. For example, if you think about the future, you should get excited. You should be really, really excited because you're moving towards something that truly makes you proud, that you're so happy about that you can't wait until it happens. And then once you're moving towards your future, you've dealt with your past, and we can focus on the present moment. And again, with getting to the future, it's all about building the right processes and creating the right person that's able to achieve whatever aim or goal that you've set. And that's basically how it works in a nutshell.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I belong to a group. It's called Mankind Project. It's a group of men, and we go through these processes, kind of what you just described when we're meeting in the group, and it helps me get in touch with what we call my shadow. My shadow is like my past that affects everything. And like you said, it's trauma that writes software. The way I describe it, it's trauma that writes software that operates in the back of my mind subconsciously, that affects how I react to every decision and situation that comes into my life. And a perfect example for me, I had a very traumatic childhood, and I had a hard time trusting people, which when you're thrust into a leadership position, you have to be, in order to be an effective leader, you have to be able to trust people and empower people. And because of the trauma in my past, I couldn't do that. And so I wasn't a very effective leader. And then when I go back and I deal with that and face it, and like you said, when I'm able to look at it and it's neutral, and then I'm able to rewrite that software that I'm using subconsciously to make decisions and move in directions based on situations in front of me, then I can create that new life, kind of what you were saying, become a different person. And also it allows me to trust other people and empower other people and become a much better leader, because I'm more in touch with my biases, and able to make that separation instead of projecting them onto other people. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I agree with that philosophy 100%. I think you definitely have to go back and face some of those things, because it really does affect the lens with which you view the world and make decisions and see people and hire people and manage people and work with clients and handle your business, money, all of those things. It affects everything, unless you go back and address that and really know where you sit and stand with that and with yourself and with your past. So I agree with you 100%. Does that make sense to you at all?
Yeah, it makes so much sense. It's exactly how I work. But also a lot of people don't even realize that they are carrying this trauma with them.
Mm-hmm.
And not to make you scared of trauma or things that have happened in your past. But it's really simple. Just think back about a couple of experiences you had, and just see if they evoke any feelings. And if they do, then maybe you want to deal with them. But at least don't go around them, but just face them head on. And that's the only way you can overcome them.
Yeah, absolutely. So once you walk her through dealing with the trauma in the past, what's the next step in that process?
So, yeah, let's say we have a person like you who wants to overcome the trauma, or how do you? Yeah. So yeah, let's say a person like you, we've overcome the trauma, we've dealt with the past. A big thing is like realizing why you've become the person that you are today. Because a lot of your past shapes you, even though you don't want to admit it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things you're just doing them on repeat, like routines, habits. Everybody talks about them, but they're just a reflection of your past. You have been doing the same things over and over again without even realizing them. So then just simply looking at your past and figuring out, okay, what exactly have you been doing over and over again? And then creating a list and then simply addressing them while simultaneously working towards a future that you're truly excited about.
Okay. And then I was looking at your one, before we go there, I like what you have on your bio on LinkedIn, is beyond social conditioning. Can you tell the listeners a little bit more about that, what you mean by beyond social conditioning?
Yeah, it's really simple. We've all been influenced by our parents, siblings, friends, family, teachers, everybody. But what if you would get rid of everything? You are just the only person on this world. Like, what will make you happy? What kind of person will make you proud? And it's all about going beyond the social conditioning that people have placed on you and finding out who you truly are, what will make you proud. Like when you look in the mirror, which person do you want to see? Like what will make you proud? What will make you happy? What will make you fulfilled? That's all about going beyond your social conditioning, like dealing with your past, dealing with the present moment, while working towards a really exciting future. It's all about going beyond your social conditioning.
Yeah, which is easier said than done.
It's really difficult.
Yeah, it's really what we say in mankind a lot of times is when you put it to practice, it's hard. And then we say that's why we call it work, because it is hard. So I agree with you 100% on that one. And then I hear all the time people say, well, I don't care what anybody thinks of me. I don't care what they, I just kind of do and go my own thing. And the reality is that I do care what other people think about me. I do care what my family, my friends, and my loved ones think about me. But I have to care more about what I think about myself, and be true to myself and what I really want, what I need to be happy, and be true to that and balance that with caring about what they think of me. Because if I say, well, I don't care what they think, that's bullshit. For me, that's a bullshit statement, because I do care about what people think. But I have to care more about what I think. Like you said, when I look at myself in the mirror, I have to be able to look that person in the eye and say, yes, I am happy and I'm being true to you, instead of giving away my power to other people and in an attempt to make them happy and making me miserable in the process. Then I become passive aggressive and on and on and on. Sorry to go off on the tangent. I don't know if that makes sense or if that falls into the work that you do with your clients.
No, it makes sense. We all want approval, but it's all about getting your own values clear. And then once your own values are clear, your decisions become easy. And if people give you advice that you don't like, or they tell you bad things, then your decision is easy because your own values are clear. It doesn't matter what they say, and even if it hurts or you don't like it, you will still be moving towards this path because you figured out who you are, and you will not let those other people tell you what to do.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And looking at your webpage, you have, and we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but I wanted to get into it for the listeners. So on your webpage, beyondsocialconditioning.com, you have 4 pillars of creating your perfect self. And we talked about it. These aren't necessarily steps in the process that you take with your clients, but they are guiding principles that you use with your clients. Can you take us through each of the 4 pillars and kind of what they mean and how you use them and how you came up with them?
Yeah, so pretty much they are simply what differentiates me from other coaches. And it's really simple. Pillar 1 is creating your perfect self. So what everybody who's watching right now can do is imagine yourself standing in front of a big mountain. And at the top of the mountain, there is your perfect self, your initial perfect self. So that will be the person that doesn't matter what society tells you, it doesn't matter what your teachers tell you, it doesn't matter what your family, friends, your girlfriend, doesn't matter what they tell you, but that will be the person you would be proud of. And that's just the person that, if you would now write down all the things that you hate about yourself or don't like about yourself, you would have addressed them and would have created a person who doesn't care about, who no longer needs to indulge in these bad behaviors. And you would just get over those behaviors. Then you're pretty much your perfect self. And that's when you reach the top of the mountain. And once you reach the top of the mountain and you've reached your initial perfect self, so you've created a person that you're proud of, who has their values aligned, who's dealt with their past, who's moving towards an exciting future, then once you're at the top of the mountain, you can see around you like a whole new world opens up and a whole new world of other possibilities. And a whole new world of even bigger mountains to climb. Like, doesn't matter where you want to go, but at least address the initial person that you always wanted to be and get to that person. And then once you're there, then there's always something next. But first, get to that initial perfect self. So that would be pillar one. Pillar two would be all about my coaching style. So I don't work with people for 45 minutes. So you come in, we quickly talk, and once everything gets going, I'm like, oh, it's time. We have to leave. So my sessions can take up to 4-5 hours if necessary. So especially in the first phase, because usually your initial perfect self, like all the goals that you want, I'm all about creating measurable change. Because a lot of personal development is you simply get lost. You get lost in all the books, all the advice. You don't really know where you're going. You think you're moving forwards, but you're probably moving backwards or sideways, or you're not going straight at your goals. So creating your perfect self is all about setting goals. Where do you want to be? Okay, that will be my initial perfect self. That will be that mountaintop. Let's get there. And then getting there as quickly as possible. So not just with 4-5 minute sessions, but with sessions that can take up to 5 hours if necessary. So pillar number 2 is all about taking actual time to get to know you and actually get you to your goals. And pillar number 3, yeah, it's all about my own coaching style. But eventually, simply, pillar number 4 is all about if you're simply interested or if you're committed.
Okay.
Because everybody can tell themselves, like, hey, I want to do this, but only when it's convenient to me. Only when the time is right. Only when I have enough money. Only when this and this thing happens.
Yeah.
It probably will never happen. So it's all about making a commitment and be like, okay, today, right now, this moment, I'm going to move forward and actually starting to create a person that I'm proud of, a person that is excited about the future, a person that isn't haunted by the demons of the past, a person that, because they have dealt with their past and are moving towards an exciting future, can be totally content in the present moment and can be totally focused into whatever they are doing. So those are just the 4 pillars of my coaching style, but it's all about creating your perfect self and creating measurable change to get you towards your goals. And also, just a clarification, my website Beyond Social Conditioning, it has just gone live 2 days ago. So there need to be made some certain tweaks. Some things need to be improved. There need to be a lot more pictures about me. But that's just a general gist of my coaching style. That's what you want to know, right?
Yes. No, that is very, very, very helpful. So the question that then comes to mind, and I'm sure it's on the mind of the listeners, is, so I go through this transformational coaching. Well, let's back up a little bit. So my goal is to become more successful, to have my business become more successful. Why should I be interested in transformational coaching? How is that going to help me make my business more successful?
That's a good one. First of all, we have to realize that most businesses fail, not because of a bad plan, bad strategy, even though those are processes, so they are a big cause of why you fail. But it's usually all about you are simply not the person that's able to achieve a successful business. You are not the person that is able to get there. And a lot of people don't realize that about themselves. Like, if you just start, you're optimistic, let's get going. And the truth is, most people fail. If you are that one person that succeeds, great for you. Go for it. Don't listen to me. You don't need it. But if you're like most people, you will probably fail. And not because you are stupid or you're not smart enough or whatever it is. You are simply not the right person that's able to have a successful business because you've been socially conditioned. When you went to school, they didn't teach you how to become a business owner. You got taught to be a worker for somebody else. So a lot of it, again, is going beyond your social conditioning, like looking at what's really true, like what works. A lot of things that you've been learned aren't really true. But eventually it all comes down to the person that you have to become in order for your business to be successful. And then we can look at the processes, and then we can actually set a goal. Or maybe set the goal first and then look at which person you need to become and then create the processes. But eventually it's all about, you need to become a person that's able to have a successful business. If you have a business owner who's really successful, let's say Richard Branson, and you would take everything away from him, I'm sure you've heard this so many times. Within a few months, he would have not a successful business really quickly, because he's the kind of person who's able to have a successful business. Yes, he knows all the processes. Yes, he knows how everything works. But let's also take that away from him. Just his mindset, just the way he thinks, just the way he acts, his work ethic, like all the things that make a successful business owner, he already has it. And then simply the processes, he will figure them out. But it's all about creating the person that you need, creating a person that's able to achieve, or that's able to have a successful business. And that's also why most people fail and get discouraged, because they don't realize that they have to change in order to have a successful business.
Yeah, that's powerful. It's powerful because it's so true. We talked earlier a little bit about blind spots. And when you go into, I know for me, when I opened my business, I was a trainer, but I had to learn how to become a business owner. And it's a different skill set, and it's a different mindset. And it was a blind spot. I totally wasn't aware of it. That's the definition of a blind spot, right? But thankfully, I was able to work with some coaches and some of my mentors and some other members, Secret Trainer Society, and some other people that were able to expose that blind spot for me, and then go to work on that so that I can become that person. But to your point, I recently came upon the realization through my own kind of self-actualization work that I have a fear of money. And that fear of money, like when I think about, like it's tax time here in the US. When I think about taxes, my heart rate goes up like 100 beats a minute. When I think about, just the books of the business, granted, it's not my strong suit, but my anxiety levels go up. I have a fear of money. And part of it is that I wasn't raised with money. I was raised very poor. And so my idea of money is, let's just say I'm not the person that I need to be to deal with money the way that I would like to be. So that is one way, to your point, that I need to work in order to make my business a little bit more successful and my life more successful. So for somebody like me who has that fear of money, what would you suggest?
That's a good one. That will take definitely one big session, because we have to go back, like all the way back. But let's say you don't want to invest in a coach who actually knows how to do it. Then what you simply have to do is immerse yourself into whatever you are afraid of. So let's say you are afraid of money. Okay, make yourself, and this is one habit that everybody should have. Whenever you're afraid of something, there needs to be like a switch in your mind. Oh, okay, I'm afraid of this. Now I have to do it. And this will add up. So if you can do this with little things, you can eventually do it with the big things. So let's say you're afraid of money and you kind of feel like procrastinating, you just have to do it. And simply make it a point, like quit everything. And simply because you are afraid of it and you're not going to do it, you simply have to do it. And then again, realizing that you have to trust your mind, trust your body, that whenever you persist at something, like whenever you're serious, whenever you're committed, then your mind will eventually shift towards whatever action you're going to take. And it will become easier and easier. And after doing it a couple of times, and also making your mind and body realize that, if you talk to your body, like, oh, this guy is serious, about like overcoming this. And if you say no, he will say yes. Like eventually your mind and body will give in, and then everything will become easier. Like without having to go to your past and removing all the trauma, but just exposing yourself to whatever you're scared of more often will also do the trick eventually. Like maybe not entirely, but for 90% it will. And that's usually enough.
Okay, got it. Okay, great answer. All right. And then if I can overcome my fear of money or change my behavior towards money, then I become that person who is capable of reaching the goals that I've set out for myself.
Yeah, totally. And also surround yourself with experts. If you are afraid, like get the best guy with money who can explain everything to you in the easiest way possible. Like sit down with him for a couple of hours until you have asked every question that you can possibly ask, until everything is clear for you, and then execute, and then meet up with him a month later. And then once you got it, you got it. And you've exposed yourself to the situation, and that will also work. But yeah, be smart about things. Like you have to expose yourself to your fear of money and make a commitment that whenever you're afraid of procrastinating, you will actually do it. You're the kind of person that whenever you're afraid of something, you are simply going to do it. But still be smart about it. Like get to an expert. Like
Right.
they will get you there. Like the closer you are to an expert, the quicker the change will happen.
Yeah. It's what we call running towards the roar, because most people run away from the roar, and the people who really want to change run towards the roar, like you were saying, running towards the fear, to face the fear, running toward the roar. So I like that answer a lot. So, in speaking of blind spots, again, we were talking before we started recording. And to your point, it's important to have experts, coaches, extra set of eyes, mentors that can help you expose those blind spots. You were talking about the quiz that you have on your website. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about that, why you put it on there, and what you use it for, or what they can use it for?
Totally. So I was just thinking about what would be an easy way to make you simply realize what some of the blind spots are that you are having, like that you don't even realize, just day-to-day things that you're doing, but that you might want to improve. And and in this little quiz, it needs to be improved. But there are at the moment like 13 questions, and they're really simple, like things that you don't even think about. Like one is, for example, how's the way you breathe? Are you breathing below 12 breath in and out every minute, or above? Like you might want to change it, because the less you're breathing, the more energy you will have. Really simple. Is your heart rate below 60 beats per minute? Uh, why do you need it to be higher? Like what's wrong with you? Probably get it below 60 beats per minute. Like when you're cleaning your home, which products do you use? For example, can you improve these products for your health? Are certain things, yeah, there are just all these questions you don't even think about, but that are quick fixes. And once you change them, well, some of them are not so quick fixes, but a lot of those questions are simple, quick fixes. Like once you realize them, you'll be like, oh, if I buy this instead of this, same cost, then that will make a difference in the long run. Simply go for it. So it's just a simple quiz about all your blind spots, like fill in from 1 to 5. 1 is if you're awful at that certain thing that I'm asking you, like how satisfied are you with X? 1 is awful, 5 is like perfect enough for me. And then eventually you get a simple overview and look at everything that you are awful in, or that you are 2 or 3 in, 1 to 3. And then in the next 2 to 3 days, I'm going to upload a big PDF, extensive PDF of the exact ways in how to improve your breathing, for example, which products to buy in order to get, I'm not sure, to upgrade your cleaning products to the next level, how to be even healthier. Like every question will be addressed, and in whichever area you're lacking, You can simply go to the PDF and be like, oh, these things I can improve. And oh, they're actually quick fixes. They won't take any effort. The change is pretty much effortless. Let's just do it. And eventually, in the long run, those things will add up.
Yeah. You have a very active cat. Yeah. No, those are all great things. Like you said, things that you don't think about. One simple one is like your breathing. And I think breathing is one of those things that can lead to either anxiety or relaxation. You can go parasympathetic or you can go sympathetic, just based on your breathing. So if you become aware of that blind spot. So like say if you're in a staff meeting, or if you're trying to close with a client or dealing with a difficult client, or you're in a stressful situation, if you can become aware of your breathing and consciously try to bring that down and bring down your anxiety level, then maybe you're able to make a more level-headed decision in that moment. So that's a perfect example to me how those little things can have a big impact on your decision making, the lens with which you view things, and becoming that person who is capable of reaching some of your goals. And so I'm a big believer in that. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, totally. And those are all simple things. Like for the people listening at home, for example, like how are you sitting at the moment? Like how's your posture? It's also one of the questions. Like are you hunching forward? Is your head forward? Is your head tilted forward? Are you breathing through your chest? Are you breathing through your mouth? Are you breathing through your nose? Like all simple things, but once you're aware of them and you change them in a better habit, everything becomes effortless, but a whole new world opens up.
Yeah,
So yeah, totally.
yeah, and I agree. And I think a lot of, my thinking process is some of the listeners will be like, well, I don't, there's no kind of X's and O's, so to speak. There's no laid out business processes here that tell me how to become more successful in my business. But I couldn't disagree more, because I think the most important asset in your business is you and your mindset and the way that you approach things and the software that you have running in the background, that you use subconsciously to make decisions on your business, your fears, your trauma, and dealing with that, becoming more self-aware of yourself and your limitations and your strengths will have a direct impact on how successful you are in business and in life. Kind of to your point, the Richard Branson example, which is a great example. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. And then, well, I want to thank you for taking the time out on this massive time change up there in the Netherlands. This has been exciting for me. I always close out with a couple of questions, and they're not gotcha questions, but it is one of my favorite parts of the show. So in the time that you've been working on this transformational coaching business of yours, what has been your most successful failure? And by that, I mean, what at the time seemed like a devastating loss that you weren't going to be able to recover from, but you were able to take lessons from that propelled you to greater success down the road?
I felt so much. Yeah, what's a big one? It doesn't really come one big one to mind, but they're all small changes. I think one that pops to mind right now is, if you want a tactic for business owners, like don't just focus on everything at the same time. Don't focus on your social media. Don't focus on your blog posts. Don't focus on whatever you're doing. Don't focus on Facebook ads. Don't focus on Google ads. Focus on one thing and implement some deep work. Like set some time apart and just focus for, let's say, 4 hours straight on creating one simple thing, one masterpiece, and then sharing that with the world. Because business is changing. It's no longer about who shouts loudest, even though it still is, but that will become less and less. Eventually, it will become all about how good is your product. Like, can you actually do what you say? Yeah, all about product quality at the moment, and that's going to become an even bigger factor in the future.
I agree with you 100% on that, because there's so much noise out there that, you know, in order to get above it, the decibel level is like deafening. So you go to the opposite of that is just to be quiet, you know, and have that be a loud silence that your demographic, your clients, your target clients can hear. And to your point, creating that masterpiece, putting out quality work, instead of just focusing on dollars and business plans and things like that. Great answer. So my next question is, in the time that you've been doing this transformational coaching, what has been the biggest surprise that you've had to deal with that you did not see coming?
There's some deep questions. Biggest surprise. It's probably realizing in the beginning that I suck at marketing, suck at attracting clients. I know because of, I think that my product is pretty good, if not one of the best in the world. But I still need to have some reach. I still need to attract the right people into my business. So just realizing that I suck, and simply realizing that I have to learn marketing. I have to learn persuasion. I have to learn how to have a proper initial call to get clear on whatever my client wants to achieve, and then make it a win-win situation for them and for me, without me being salesy, but just making it a win-win. Like, it should be obvious. Like, the choice should be obvious. Like, here's your issue. I can describe it better than you can yourself, and let's just make it happen. Yeah. But yeah, I thought I had to be salesy. I first thought I didn't have to sell at all. Then I thought I had to be salesy. Then I thought I had to be someone else. But yeah, just realizing that I suck, and that I have to find a way that works for me, that's aligned with my values, and that also actually creates results. So the biggest one was just realizing that I suck and just overcoming it.
Yeah. You just described 99% of my audience. Because we say it all the time, you know, a lot of trainers who are great trainers, some of them not so great trainers, and they subscribe to the philosophy of build it and they will come. You know, I'm a great trainer, I got the coolest gym, and then they open it up and nobody comes through the door because they suck at marketing and suck at pitching people. They have a passion for helping people, but they suck at marketing. So, like I said, that's a large percentage of my audience. So what were some of the steps you took to get better at that?
So I also had this fear about selling, because everybody told me you shouldn't be salesy. But the biggest thing was just realizing that it's my own moral obligation to sell. Because what will happen if they don't come to you? Like, if you can look yourself in the mirror and you'll be like, what if they would not work with me? And what if they would choose someone else? Would that other person be better than me? And if they would be better, then you have to work on your product quality. If they won't be, or if they won't work with you and they would spend their money on something else that isn't as beneficial as whatever you can do to them, then it's pretty much your obligation to sell or to do your best in trying to convince them to sell or to buy from you. And with selling, I don't mean like being salesy, but just make it really clear that this is the best choice for them, and make it really clear what the outcome can be if they are committed. So yeah, I think that sums it up. Just realizing that it's pretty much a moral obligation to sell if you have the best product. Because what's the alternative for those people? Like going somewhere else. I don't think the other people are better. And a lot of people don't even have the best intentions with your clients, your customers, however you want to call them. Mm-hmm. So they're probably better off just going to you. And it's just your obligation to learn how to sell properly.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. And like you said, having the the honesty and the insight to say, well, if I don't have the best product, or if their product's better than mine, then I need to work on improving mine instead of just bashing them. And then going back to the drawing board to create a better product so that, again, you can believe in it and know that you are the best option for them. And that's why they should go with you, along with that, like you said, that moral obligation to sell. I like that quite a bit. Okay, and then the last question is, what were the last 3 books that you read or podcasts that you listen to on a regular basis? Where do you go to get your self-development and self-awareness?
Yeah, I don't know exactly which 3 books, because I'm reading about 6 at the moment, but I can tell you my last 3 good books that I read.
Okay.
Like one is, I think, Automatic Habits from, I'm not sure, the book is called Automatic Habits. The second one is Deep Work.
What's the second one? I'm sorry?
Deep Work by Cal Newport.
Okay.
Along those lines. He will go really deep. You'll get the point probably after going through everything quickly, but it's all about looking at everybody in history who was the best at what they do, and realizing that they simply spent focused time focusing on one specific subject or thing that you want to accomplish without any distractions. And then you can create something that's truly powerful instead of focusing on 10 different things, like drilling 10 different holes at the same time, and not realizing if you just focus on one hole and go really deep at it, that's where all the gold is. So that would be the second book. And the third book would be Discipline. I'm not sure, the newest book by Jocko Willink, Discipline Creates Freedom.
Okay.
Oh no, the Dichotomy of Success. That's what the book's called. Those were the last 3 books that I read that were really good. And they also confirmed a lot of things that I already had in my mind, combined with a lot of new insights and a lot of more nuanced points. Because the reality is, a lot of things are nuanced, but nobody explains the nuanced points because everybody focuses on the one that shouts loudest or is most convincing. But a lot of life is all about nuanced points. But this will work in this situation, but this won't work in that situation. And making it realize, just realizing that this will work for you in this situation. But if you're not this person, then this specific thing won't work for you. So it's all about figuring out what will work for you and what will work in your specific situation.
Okay. Was that the Dichotomy of Success that you were talking about, or just books in general?
Those were a combination of all the books.
Okay. So I liked your what you got when you talked about what you got out of Deep Work. I like that quite a bit. So what did you get out of Automatic Habits?
He also describes the same process. So my process was first like creating a goal, going towards that goal, creating a goal and aim, and then creating the person that you need to become in order to achieve the goal, and then focus on what will get us towards the goal. And he summarized in the first couple of chapters exactly the same. And that's simply like creating a goal, then looking at the process that will get you towards the goal, and then creating a person that's able to achieve those goals. So it's pretty similar. So that made a lot of sense. Also hearing it from him, because he's a master at habits. So that was great to hear to hear him reaffirm whatever I was already thinking and what I knew that already worked for my clients. So that was the biggest thing.
Okay. And how about the Dichotomy of Success by Jocko? What did you get out of that book?
Yeah, I think it's the dichotomy of leadership. But
okay.
Those are all different chapters about the nuances of leadership. So when are you too much of this, or are you too little of whatever you're trying to achieve? So I think there are like 17 different things that he has seen in the battlefield that can go wrong if you do it one way, if you do it too little, and can go wrong if you do it too much. So just creating the dichotomy, like creating the balance between what works for you and creating an optimize whatever's working for you, so you're not doing it too much or too little.
Okay. Finding that kind of dimmer switch or equalizer. Okay. When I say equalizer, I'm dating myself. Those back in the days of analog stereos. Okay. All great books, and all of those links will be in the show notes. And speaking of links in the show notes, how can people get in touch with you if they want to work with you, find out more, they have questions, all of that good stuff?
Yeah, simply go to my website, and the first page is simply an overview of what I do, a little bit about me, the 4 pillars, do the quiz. But simply right on the bottom is a simple link to apply for coaching. Simply fill in the form, and if it makes sense, I think that I can help you, then just set up a free call and see for a fit, and then we'll just get to work as quickly as possible. If I have still, at the moment, I still have a couple more spots, but if it's full, then it's full, then you have to get on a waiting list. But underneath it is also a contact form. If you have certain questions, I'll usually answer them within 24 hours. And I think that's all there's to it. Just go to my website and everything will become clear. You can apply for coaching, but that's not really important. Just focus on maybe working on yourself first, or looking at the contact form. Like if you have these and these questions, I'll be like, can you also help me in this specific situation? And then I can be like, yes or no. It will save everybody a lot of time. So yeah, simply go to beyondsocialconditioning.com, and that's where you find all the information.
Okay, great. And like I said, all of those links will be in the show notes. Just go to trainerjim.net, click on this episode of the podcast, and the links will be right there to get in touch with Colin. One last quick question, Colin. What's your cat's name?
That's a good one. I don't think I have any cat's name anymore.
No, cat. Your cat. What's the name of your cat?
The name of the cat is Rich. How do you pronounce it in English? It's Rishi in Dutch.
Okay. And what does that mean in English? Does that translate?
I didn't come up with the names.
Oh, okay.
But we got that from where we got them. They had the names Rishi and Chai, and they listened to it, so we just stick with it.
Okay.
I like the name. I think they have some Eastern names to them.
Okay.
Can maybe look it up.
Okay. Well, since your cat was kind of the co-guest in the background, and we actually also caught him on audio a little bit, I wanted to give him a little bit of credit.
Yeah. You can see him now.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah. Oh, I've been seeing him the whole broadcast, and then he also I heard him on the mic too, talking a little bit, trying to get your attention. He's wanting you to play with him. So, Colin, thanks for coming on the show. This has been great. I really appreciate it. I like to reserve the right to have you on future shows, because I really do think this is an important subject. It's one of those things that most people neglect, most business owners neglect. And I think it's really, really important for personal success and business success. So thanks for coming on the show and taking the time.
Totally. It was a fun conversation. Have to do it again in the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Well, enjoy the rest of your Monday evening there in the Netherlands, and I'll be in touch.
Yeah, and you have a great day. I'm not sure what time it is at your place, but I thought it was early.
Yeah.
So enjoy the Monday.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks, Colin. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.